Guys, how's it going? It's Al. I have my quarterback rankings for your fantasy football leagues in week 13 right here. My top 12, the QB1s on the week from Thursday through Monday. I'm going to go through my list, and this list is not going to match. I'm telling you, it's not going to match what you think that the rankings are. Some weeks I come close to what the consensus is. Some weeks I'm way off the reservation. This seems to be a week where, like, I kind of compared it to some of the other sites what their rankings were, and I'm like, all right, mine are a little bit different this week. They're not like ridiculous. Just some of the players that I have ranked in places that they're like, you won't believe, number 8. Like those sort of rankings, but I'm not clickbaiting you for it. That's just the way things shook out based on past performance, current matchup, offensive situation, because we've got like 4 games that I think could go absolutely nuclear this week. It's going to be very interesting, to say the least. So thank you guys for being here. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the notifications bell, and let's go.
He's a legend.
Make sure that you join the Smiz Gang Listener League for week 13 over on DraftKings. Go to smizzle.tv/links. It's the only way to find the link to the Listener League because it's not a lobby game. $10 to enter, 3 max, $35,000 in the player pool, and there is absolutely no rig. Reserve your seats today. You can go to rewards, you can click missions, and then get less than 0 rake by doing a mission for each entry if you enter them 3 days in a row, and get your seats early, because at 3,500 entrants, this one could fill a little bit early. So make sure you jump in there today. Go to the link tree, smizzle.tv/links, and join the league today. Jalen Hurts finds himself in the number 1 spot for the first time on my rankings this season. He has had multiple touchdowns in 5 of his last 6 games, multiple touchdowns passing in 5 of his last 6 games, has a good matchup against Tennessee in that respect. Tennessee has basically been a pass funnel. They don't let you run the football, but like when you have a running quarterback, has the ability, like last week, to rip off 157 yards on the ground, has gotten 17 attempts rushing and 16 attempts rushing the last 2 games. His floor has always been massive, averaging 25.8 fantasy points per game this season, and no signs of slowing down. This Philadelphia offense is absolutely humming, even in the absence of Dallas Goedert, who left with an injury a few weeks ago. They've kind of gotten their style nailed down at this point. 28 attempts passing, 25, 26, 27, 28, 25. They know exactly how many running plays, exactly how many passing plays they want to call. They have their full cadre of running backs back, which is serving to be very confusing for opposing defensive coordinators and opening up both the run for Jalen Hurts himself, as well as this increased efficiency passing the ball. Like I said, multiple touchdowns in 5 of the last 6. Really great floor. Has not scored less than 21 fantasy points in the last 5 weeks. So he takes over the number 1 spot, and he takes it over from Patrick Mahomes, who, look, this is not anything against Mahomes. This is just the rushing quarterbacks are such a cheat code that Patrick Mahomes has to do these super amazing things. And to his credit, he's definitely been on this run of doing them with 300 yards passing in each of, or more, in each of the last 6 games they've played. The downside to Patrick Mahomes, if there is a downside, is twofold. One, the emergence of Isaiah Pacheco and his 5 inside the 5 carries last week shows kind of a tendency of what they want to do. The Kansas City Chiefs offensive play calling, once they get in goal to go situations, can also be like super cute. And like, it's a bit too much. Sometimes going route 1 is acceptable. Just running a simple play, a back shoulder, a little slant, a little play action boot around the goal line to get the ball into your playmakers' hands. Juju Smith-Schuster, Travis Kelce, maybe the fullback. Like, they want to play like their 4th string tight end and do little dump passes. They had a play that originated from the 4-yard line last week where they threw a double pass back to Mahomes and had him try to throw the ball from now the 18 or 19-yard line to Travis Kelce at the goal line. It's too much. I understand doing a changeup every once in a while, but like, it's too much. None of that affects his fantasy. Like, it does, but it doesn't, because they're not maximizing. Like, he has 29 touchdown passes, and it feels almost like the extra cuteness around the goal to go situations tends to end up costing them a touchdown or 2 passing a week, and it's an epidemic. It's not why I have him ranked number 2. He is averaging the most fantasy points, I believe. He's 1 or 2 behind Josh Allen on fantasy points per game. He's got 28.2. Josh Allen kind of had like a down game. He's at 27.9 on the year. So Mahomes leading the league in terms of quarterback scoring, but this week I have him at number 2 behind Jalen Hurts. Josh Allen in a Thursday night matchup against against New England. Buffalo is not really a team that is matchup dependent or he's a matchup independent quarterback. However, quarterback scoring does tie greatly to like expected implied team totals and like pace of opponent. And the Patriots play very, very slow, and they're going to be very methodical at home against a division opponent in this spot. Like, Josh Allen can do amazing things. It's probably going to take a big rushing effort from him. Something he's done in like 3 of the last 4 games, with 78 yards rushing against Detroit, 84 against Minnesota, 86 against the Jets in week 9. But like, this could be a situation where he only runs, he hasn't had 3 touchdown passes since like week 6. He had 4 in week 5. He had 3 in week 6. He's had turnover issues all year long. He's got as many turnovers as Matt Ryan does on the season. Think about how you think about Matt Ryan right now this season. You're like, wow, he's terrible, and he's been terrible, and he's throwing the ball, giving the ball away, fumbling, all that. So, well, Josh Allen has like 14 turnovers also. And that's not a knock on Josh Allen. He's an amazing quarterback, but like, he has been making some mistakes this year and has not been as efficient through the air as we've seen him be the last 2 seasons. He still has great numbers in terms of like 23 touchdown passes, 3,183 yards on the year, but this is not a great spot for him. I would not be shocked to see him put up like 25 fantasy points, but I have him 3rd behind Hurts and Mahomes. It's not like you're benching Josh Allen if you have him. It's just a ranking. It's okay. We'll all be okay. Justin Herbert comes in at number 4. Now, this is where I start to get different from the crowd. Herbert has started to wake up. Completed 74.5% of his passes in week 12 against Arizona. Completed 76.7% in week 11. 3 touchdown passes in week 12. 2 touchdown passes in week 11. He's kind of becoming the guy that we saw last year. He's kind of becoming the guy again because their wide receiver room is getting more healthy. He doesn't have to rely on Josh Palmer as a number 1. He doesn't have to lean on Gerald Everett as his number 2 option in the pass game. He now is getting this to this spot where, and if they get Mike Williams back and become a fully operational battle station once again against the Las Vegas defense that has given up tons of yards, both on the ground and through the air, he could have his best game of the season and build off the last 2 that he's already had. One of the highest totals on the week and a closely contested game in division. This is one that I think might end up well over the total of 50.5 expected points by Vegas. That's where the line is, and push him into a spot where like this could have like 60 to 65 points because of how bad both defenses are and how efficient both offenses can be, both with big plays and sustained drives. Joe Burrow comes in behind him and in a game against Kansas City and at home, another super high total game, 51.5 in this one. Chiefs favored by 2.5. Joe Burrow, he's good, right? Whether he's better with Chase, he's fine without him. He did not get Chase back as we kind of hoped he would in week 12. I'm assuming that Chase is going to be back and fine and playing this week, which just makes this passing offense much more dangerous, right? Same situation as Herbert and the Chargers. When you add Jamar Chase to one side defensively, you just have to do different things, which means T. Higgins, who has been phenomenal all season long and specifically with Jamar Chase out, now slides into that other side role where like Jalen Waddle is in for Miami, making it impossible for defensive coordinators to deal with them. And then Hayden Hurst, Boyd slide into spots where they can just work against zone and find easy catches and lots of yards after the catch. Burrow has been really solid this season, 24.2 fantasy points per game. Behind him at number 6, Tua Tagovailoa against San Francisco. Now, this is an extremely tough matchup, right? There's no way else that we could put it. However, this is going to be my favorite coaching matchup of the week because McDaniel going back to San Francisco, he knows everything Shanahan wants to do offensively. Shanahan knows everything McDaniel wants to do offensively, but both offenses are so supremely talented that it's going to be hard to keep them both in check. They're so very balanced. They do a great job of play calling situationally as well as scripting early in the game and the beginning of the second half. Both teams make great second half adjustments at halftime. The total in this one is sitting at 47. Now, usually I don't think games with the San Francisco 49ers are going to go over, but I kind of feel like this one could. And it's why I have Tua ahead of some of the other guys that I have here. 299 yards last week in a game where he sat halfway through the third quarter because they were just getting, they weren't keeping the defensive linemen off him. Now, that's the one risk in this spot, is that San Francisco's front seven is so good at applying pressure, and Miami's offensive line is a little bit dinged up at this spot, that Tua might take some hits and be inefficient. But my money's on the other side. The previous 3 games before the game against Houston, where they still threw the ball 36 times and were coming out to throw it, it was his least efficient game in the last month. Completed only 61% of his passes, as opposed to 78, 70, and 80.6 the 3 previous games. Also, 3 touchdowns per game the 3 previous games, with only 1 against Houston. I think that this game is going to be very entertaining. I cannot wait to watch it. Possible Super Bowl matchup, though not the most likely Super Bowl matchup, but a possible Super Bowl matchup here with 2 great coaches, 2 great offenses, and we'll see if the play calling and the offensive variety that Miami brings to the table can expose that San Francisco 49ers defense. Dak Prescott comes in at number 7 against Indianapolis. Indy has not been great. I do like how fast-paced the Cowboys have been. They're scoring an awful lot of points. And yes, a lot of that comes on the back of Tony Pollard, comes on the back of Ezekiel Elliott, who are extremely tough to rank this week. But Dak Prescott is going to push the football. Since he has come back, the week 7 game where he said himself, I need to get back up to speed, I'm not quite there yet. They did win that game against Detroit 24-6. They have put up 49, 28, 40, and 28 points in the next 4 games. He has completed a tremendous number of his passes on percentage. He has thrown for multiple touchdown passes in each of those games. He's included a rushing touchdown in there as well. And the matchup against Indy, going to Jerry World, is horrific for Indianapolis. Dak Prescott is going to shred this team this week, and hopefully he gets his numbers, and it's not just Pollard and Zeke, or Zeke and Pollard, or whatever number of percentage of snaps they're going to run them out for. But like, big plays could be abound. We saw Pittsburgh look extremely efficient offensively, like the Steelers looked extremely efficient offensively against this Indy defense on Monday Night Football. That's how bad things are for Indy this week. Like, the Cowboys could put up like 35, 40 points this week, and I would not be shocked. And if they do, Dak Prescott will very likely have a 20 to 25 point fantasy day. Behind him, Lamar Jackson. Now, this is the one where like Lamar Jackson has had one good game. 24 points last week against Jacksonville, a very, very bad defense that we want to attack. He had 20 points or more only one time since week 3, and that was against Tampa Bay in week 8. He's been very mid, and that hurts me because I think Lamar Jackson is quite good. It's just that he doesn't have weapons. Outside of Mark Andrews, they don't have anybody that they could throw to. Like Robinson, Duvernay, this is the same situation as I talked about higher in the rankings with other quarterbacks not having all of their weapons. Wide receivers matter. Losing Hollywood Brown in the offseason and saying, okay, we got Bateman now, and Bateman looked really good and was making a massive difference in Lamar's efficiency, yards after the catch, being able to get open and get space, make big plays, because he does profile as an alpha wide receiver. But when he lost him, when Baltimore lost him, they just don't have anybody else that can consistently get separation and earn those targets on the outside. They're not going to throw the ball a ton. They do throw it enough. Like, they don't throw it like less than 30 times unless they're like way up. They're a pass first team. They want to throw the ball over expectation. They just don't have anybody to throw it to right now. Even the signing of Deshaun Jackson, who's like 67 years old, isn't making that much of a difference. So we're in a spot with Lamar Jackson against the Denver defense that has allowed like 6 touchdowns in the last 6 weeks. This is not a great spot for Lamar. In no way that you slice it. And Denver is really going to try to play ball control because they can't do anything on offense. So they're going to be a ball control and defense team and play super slow. This could be a very low scoring game and a low fantasy output game for Lamar Jackson. Making his debut this NFL season and in the rankings at number 9 is Deshaun Watson in a revenge game against the Houston Texans. Cleveland goes on the road. He has all of his offensive weapons around him with Amari Cooper, Peoples-Jones, and David Njoku, who had a fantastic touchdown catch last week. Cleveland salutes Jacoby Brissett for his service and now will slide all the guaranteed money right into the lineup with Deshaun Watson. He comes in at number 9. At number 10, Geno Smith for Seattle. If there is a better comeback player of the year, I don't know who it is, because like Geno has done such a fantastic job, averaging 19.9 fantasy points on the season. He's been extremely consistent. 2 touchdowns in each of the last 5 games. He's had multiple touchdowns in every game but 2 this season. Wide receivers matter. He has DK Metcalf to throw to. DK Metcalf, they're not challenging downfield as much as they did in the past, because like that's just not what Geno can do. But Metcalf has turned into a really good short and intermediate guy. Like he had like 10 catches for 90 yards. Like that's not been his profile in previous years. Geno, not the guy like Russ was, who could make those reaction plays. Like after the first play, he'll extend the thing and make a downfield throw, and that's not Geno versus Russ. But like Geno this year versus Russ is so much better. Apparently, you know, the Seattle front office and coaching staff is completely redeemed for trading away Russ Wilson and not getting stuck with a long-term contract with him, because now they have flexibility. But like Geno Smith has consistently recently been in our top 12. He is still there right now, playing against the Los Angeles Rams, who are benching everybody. They may shut this entire defense down. It's ugly. Not a really high team total in this one, but as we said before, 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, very much in play here, and that's good enough at number 10. At number 11, the best matchup, right? We attack this like every single week. Trevor Lawrence goes to Detroit in a weather-controlled game at Ford Field to play against the Detroit Lions. He has not been bad. He has multiple touchdowns in each of the last 2 games, a big game last week against Baltimore, and we'll see if he continues to grow as the season moves along here. He's got a very good rating this year of 93.6, averaging 18.6 fantasy points per game. He's got solid weapons, not like any great weapons, but he's got Christian Kirk and he's got Zay Jones, who had a tremendous game last week, Marvin Jones Jr., Evan Ingram, a bunch of professional wide receivers, but nobody who's like a superstar pass catcher for him. And hopefully, if he throws the ball to Travis Etienne, like they threw it to Hasty after Etienne left the last game, he has enough offensive weapons to make things happen, specifically against a Detroit team that has been very, very bad. The total in this one is 51.5. It is projected to be very close. Obviously, you get that 3-point. Usually, if a team's at home, they add 3 points to the spread, and Detroit's favored by like 2.5 in this one. So essentially, on a neutral field, this would be a pick 'em. Neither defense can stop anybody. This could just be a track meet. Neither team doing neither team's defense is going to be able to stop what the other team's offense is going to bring to the table. And we've seen shootouts in Lions games before. So like Trevor Lawrence at number 11, but could end up much higher at the end of the week. Tom Brady finishes us off here at number 12. Now, they got beat in overtime last game. In the last 4 games, his numbers have looked a lot better and the offense has looked a lot better, more consistent. They do move very fast. They play at a very fast pace. They are at home. New Orleans might get Marshawn Lattimore back for this game, which would be bad for Mike Evans, but like with Godwin there getting all the targets and Brady throwing it 40 plus times on expectation, as well as Rachaad White doing such a great job as a pass catching back in lieu of Leonard Fournette, who the last couple of years has also done a very good job as a pass catching back. Tom Brady has the ability to throw for 250 to 350 yards any game with his efficiency, his weapons that he now has back at 100%, as well as the amount of times that he throws it. Attempts don't mean fantasy points. Efficiency does. He's thrown for 14 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. They are throwing the ball a lot, and he is still throwing the ball efficiently. Multiple touchdowns in each of the last 2. Tom Brady gets you this spot at number 12. You have him this week. Versus other players that are lower, you're starting Tom Brady over him. So thank you guys for watching. Look out for another video right there.
He's a legend.